Crispy M&Ms are back.
What are you doing?
You said to tell our fans crispy M&Ms are back.
Not those fans.
Did you mean this fan?
No.
What about that one? There's a fan in the break room. Oh,
so good, they're back.
Felt broken. I thought that I was going to take my life.
I was scared. I was scared more here than I was in Iraq.
Feels like I'm some sort of monster walking around. Little kids, scream and yell and run away.
My scar is a visible scar. My concern is the scars that you can't see.
Who wants to be crazy? Who wants to hear war in your sleep? And I knew I had to get help.
I'm Trace Atkins. I want to tell you about these true American heroes and how you can show your thanks by helping them through Wounded Warrior Project. Many of these service members suffer traumatic brain injury and post-traumatic stress disorder.
PTSD is certainly a different kind of battle, a war that I've never fought before.
Little things would cause my PTSD to kick back in. I was scared to tell my wife about it.
It was the lowest that I had ever been in my life.
One day I was laying in the hospital bed and there was Wounded Warrior Project. I realized there was hope.
The job of helping thousands of our warriors rebuild their lives is massive and growing every day. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. You'll honor and empower them so they can aid and assist each other.
Thank you from the bottom of my heart because contributions help us get back the life that we once knew. I'm proud to be the man I am right now.
Call or go online with a pledge of $19 a month and you'll receive this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
WWP is tremendously important to this generation of veterans.
The greatest casualty is being forgotten.
Please don't forget our warriors. Make that call now.
The views expressed and opinions given by the individual hosts and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Z-Talk Radio, its affiliates, or sponsors.
On the go and missing another one of your favorite Z-Talk shows? Now you don't have to. Simply go to the Google Play Store on your Android phone and download the Z-Talk Radio app. The best part is, it's absolutely free. That's Z-Talk Radio, only found in your Google Play Store on your Android phone. Download it today.
You're listening to Z-Talk Radio, the #1 choice for music, sports, news, and talk radio. So keep that dial locked to ztalkradio.com.
And welcome back to another great Friday afternoon or evening, wherever you are in the United States, wherever you are in the world. Tonight we have a very special guest. That was a short intro to who we're going to be talking to this evening. My guest tonight is the Executive Director of the Dreams Foundation. He is a Dreams and Consciousness author, researcher, a frontier in physics and inventor, and a professional speaker and trainer. His life path was set in motion 2 decades ago when he nearly drowned on a whitewater rafting trip. He suddenly began recalling up to 10 dreams and having verifiable visions of the future. Interesting. Since then, he's graduated from McGill University, participating in pioneering dreams and consciousness research at Stanford University and Montreal Sacré-Coeur, I can't pronounce that word, hospital. He has also designed electronic mind development and biofeedback tools with worldwide distribution and helped found and produce Making Contact, which is an international radio show. My guest tonight is Craig Webb, ladies and gentlemen. Craig Webb, how you doing this evening?
Hey, great to join you, Tim. Thanks for having me on. Doing great. Looking forward to a supernatural Friday evening here.
I've been looking forward to this. My cousin had messaged me or called me here about a few weeks ago about wanting to hear, about wishing to hear me talk about dreams and having a guest that specializes in dreams. And I found you and sent you an email, and you graciously accepted. So I'm honored to have you, to be able to talk to you on the show.
Oh, great. Well, maybe we can offer some fun entertainment and then some empowering stuff, like techniques or tips for folk who might suffer a little bit like the ad there from nightmares or stress or other challenges with their dreams, too. Some of that stuff ends up in the paranormal realm, too.
The experience that you had while you were whitewater rafting, did that kind of put you in this direction in which you are now going, with being the founder of the Dreams Foundation?
Yeah, well, that was nearly 30 years ago now. So
wow.
It got me going on a whole life path here that's still going strong. I guess I was, as I like to tell it, I was a good little scientist at the time, just minding my own business, thinking pretty logically, pretty objective, provability kind of mind-centered person. And then I had a powerful near drowning on the whitewater raft, or actually under it. I got stuck there without much chance to gasp for air before I fell in. It was just kind of a surprise flip.
Wow.
And maybe 5-10 seconds of fight and flight, I realized I was bumping into the bottom of the raft under the water. And, imagine kind of cold, swirling fall water. It was in Quebec City. So I couldn't see anything. I couldn't figure out how to get out. And the interesting thing is, all of a sudden, this kind of fear, stress, get away, get alive, get some air, shifted to this quiet, deep peace, along with a single thought, Tim. It was just this, hey, I'm dying right now, wow. And it was kind of surprising, too, because, you don't expect to be peaceful when you're stuck under a raft about to drown. But there was this rich, quiet peace, and that really struck me. And I'm not quite sure what happened next. I guess maybe the guide pulled me out, or I just got washed out from some of the rocks or something, and then got back in the raft. But I did raft the rest of the day as normal. But I noticed that I started remembering about 10 dreams a day right after that. So I didn't die, and nothing too serious happened physically. But I did start to have this amazing awakening. And I wasn't not interested in dreams before that, maybe one a month, or, I wouldn't really look deeply into them, but they were interesting enough, and I had them occasionally, I guess, like everybody. But with 5 to 10 coming every day, and sometimes lasting into the following days that I'd remember, like the last few days' dreams, something new was happening here, and then I started accurately picking up the future and having lucid dreams, and a lot of things we're going to talk about tonight. So I guess a whole inner life opening to balance some of the objective focus that I had in my physics degree. That's kind of how I interpret it after the fact.
Right. I bet you probably had some past life dreams as well during that time.
Well, I seem to have connected with lots of things at a distance. Some of the things distant in time. In other words, things I could dream ahead of time. We can give some interesting examples. To sort of verify past lives, if people use that framework, it's a little bit challenging to track because we can't always get the details to research or prove, which I like. But a number of people have seen me when I present as some kind of Greek teacher wearing robes, and I've dreamt quite a bit about the Greek era, as well as I've often seen myself as an Indian brave, some kind of, I guess, canoe expert, paddler, maybe around the time of the fur trading or before. It's hard to say. And perhaps that explains a lot of my interest in the whitewater, and I actually am a canoe guide too. I lead whitewater canoeing trips, so perhaps there's a connection with that.
It almost feels like you're very connected to nature. You're connected to Earth, and what's really out there in nature.
Well, that's some of that's an active choice, since I can get a little bit heady here. I'm a recovering thinkaholic. I like to make the joke that, during my degree and many times when I'm focusing on technological things, I get pretty high up in my head. So it is very good to get in-body, in the present moment. No, not just have out-of-body experiences, but have in-body experiences. So I often go out in nature, in the woods, and I think it's actually a natural offshoot for anybody on a personal exploration path of, I guess, self-development to naturally come around to being more and more connected with the environment, because as we're more connected with our inner life, I think we actually get more connected with the source of outer life too. I mean, that's my experience and my sort of framework for it.
So,
have you noticed that for yourself too?
Yeah, I tend to connect better when I'm out in the woods or I'm out hiking or fishing or something like that.
Yeah,
it seems
exactly.
Like, you're able to connect with nature and get a feel of what's real important.
Yeah, sort of quiets the mind to some degree, hopefully.
That's like the music that you had played at the beginning. It's kind of like relaxing type of music there, meditation type stuff. So it's kind of like
that was dream inspired. That actually came from a dream. There are 2 or 3 elements of that composition. Kind of given it as an example of something we can talk about today. Basically, applications. In this case, creative dreaming. Hey, maybe we can get pretty deep insights about, well, in this case, music composition, but really anything in our lives, but kind of a direct connection to what I call the inner net of ideas and, I guess, inspiration for problem solving, creativity. So that song came from dreams. Have you ever dreamt anything that you later acted on and turned into, I guess, writing or topics for your show here, or anything else in your life?
Not that I know of. I know I have dreamed of events and things that would later happen, like days or maybe even weeks later. Before this hurricane hit New York and all the boroughs a few years ago, where there were neighborhoods on fire. There was a lot of water involved, and just blocks of houses burning everywhere. I had that dream probably about a month before the hurricane hit. I think it was Hurricane Sandy. Hit. And I told my mom about it, and she's like, I said, I don't know why, but I have had this dream of all this water and houses burning for blocks as far as the eye could see, and it really scared me. I didn't know if being a firefighter back when I was a teenager had something to do with it or not, or if it was actually something that would happen weeks down the road. I didn't really know.
Right. Like, was it just like clearing up some trauma from the past or something?
It may have
Well,
been.
you'd be surprised to know 2 out of 3 people, if you start asking around, will say that they've dreamt something. This is like pretty extensive statistics. 2 out of 3 people will say that they've dreamt something that they feel later came true. Mm-hmm. And when we put a little bit stronger constraints on it, sort of scientifically, if we say the person had to share the dream before the event or the strong intuition, because waking intuition is much like dreams. And then also it has to be a pretty rare event, not just the cat came home yesterday. Well, the cat was probably going to come home anyway, so that's not too world shaking. But tuning into floods and fires, that's a little bit less likely, and then you saw it a month later too. My guess is it's probably in your sort of general interest to kind of help people, and especially the fires. So that general interest attracted you to become aware of that challenge that I guess some of your colleagues still working would be fighting, right?
Right. I have a lot of friends who are still with the department and with other departments
right.
now.
So they would be in that actual moment that you dreamt about like a month later.
Yeah.
In this case, no specific details, I guess, so you couldn't really warn anybody.
Right, exactly. I have those dreams a lot, and I don't know who, when I have these dreams, I don't know who it's about until it happens. It gets kind of frustrating at times.
Yeah. Well, you actually picked on 2 of the main points that people seem to go through when they start what I call tuning in, or picking up extrasensory perception, or psi dreaming. There's so many words for it. But somehow picking up in physics across time, in this case the future, and perceiving something that, it's a bit freaky because we're not taught about it, but go to any native culture and you'll see that they go, of course, oh yeah, you can do that all the time. So it's our culture that's not too used to that. But first, people get kind of afraid or freaked out, a bit like you, and then later, once they realize it's possible, they might get frustrated or sometimes guilty because they realize, oh man, somebody died or something really bad happened, and maybe I could have avoided it. And these dreams don't come for either of those reasons. They're not for like fear or guilt. If in a way, maybe it's a quickening. The first few come to help speed you up and open up your mind that, yes, it's possible, like they did for me after my near drowning. I had a few precogs that blew my mind open, quite literally. And then later, once you realize it's possible, you can maybe, if it's of interest, start training a little bit and get more specifics, and you can actually help yourself or help others. And that's kind of the goal.
Do you think it's common for people to have dreams or to have intuition, so to speak? Or do you think a person has to be trained to have that?
Well, everybody's got intuition, depending how they frame it or what they call it. But let's say just having a hunch about something, and for most people it's not 100%. I actually make the very strong connection between those 2 things you asked about. Most people don't connect these, but at night we have these experiences we call dreams, and sometimes we remember in the middle of the night or in the morning. More often, once in a while, we remember during the day that we dreamt at night. But this thing we call intuition we usually reserve for waking moments of kind of getting a hunch or a gut feeling, or having this sense or a deep creative insight, different names for the same thing. But I actually think it's the same neural pathways, or the same mental muscle, if you want to call it that. It's information coming in through a similar or the same channel. Basically non-physical perception. It's not our senses, but we're getting something that's valid and we can check out later. So they're very tied together, and I believe anybody can develop it. In fact, just by developing dream recall, if people drop by the Dreams Foundation website at dreams.ca on the internet, they'll see that there's an article there, How to Boost Your Dream Recall. Even if you never look at the content of dreams, which I think can be valuable, but even if you just write them or record them on a little pocket recorder or a cell phone or something, you're actually boosting your intuition because you're training the neural pathways to sort of bring something from the inner life, our dreams, into waking life, and that'll pay off later with hunches and things too. It's kind of an interesting connection. Dreams are sort of intuition.
Right. Do you think it's something non-physical becoming physical, such as related in physics?
Yeah, well, you probably saw there, I have a degree in physics, so I like to see where things play out and have at least some kind of corollary or principles behind them in waking life. I sort of see it as something I call a manifestation spectrum. There's not really any good word for this. There's different phrases for parts of it, maybe law of attraction for parts of it. But let's say that probably a fair number of your listeners have started to come across the idea, at least, or whether they believe it or not, I guess remains to be counted. But the idea that it's possible to think something and then later attract it in your life. Sometimes the attraction's not too surprising. You think, hey, I want to write a song, for example, or hey, I want to go and have a show with a dream expert. And then you take the actions necessary, and so a thought becomes physical. Sometimes it is a little less obvious or a little more magical or maybe psychic or however these things are called, non-local consciousness, ESP, in that you think it, but you didn't necessarily take any actions, but it later comes true. So that starts to show that thoughts can link with future events. Right. If we realize we can actually seed our thoughts, and then this is the interesting angle, most people don't connect. If we can seed our dreams with intention, hey, I'll just sleep on it. If you have like a problem or a question, or if you want to learn a skill, like let's say play an instrument or learn how to skate or something, fall asleep with the intention, hey, maybe I'll dream on it or I'll sleep on it. You can often dream on it and then later have a waking thought, or let's say it was a problem at work, which many people go to bed thinking about without trying to really consciously incubate or to dream on it, but they just go to bed worrying about something or trying to solve a problem. They'll wake up with a creative flash, and then they act on that flash, and then it comes true. So that's actually what I call the manifestation spectrum. It goes kind of from a seed insight and dreams to a thought, usually comes into what I call a perceptual event horizon, where we speak it to somebody or we see it on a billboard or we type an email, something we can perceive physically. And then if it had enough, I guess, if it met enough people's needs, it might actually become something that's much larger. For example, my whole life path here of, I guess, professionally speaking and sharing and empowering people about dreams, leading the teleclasses that I offer and everything, that all came from a powerful life calling, a vision dream I had of where I could be going in 10, 20 years down the line. I saw myself touring around internationally and speaking to many, many people, which by the grace of God and by many, I guess, good fortunes here and there, I've been able to do.
Well, that's neat. I know when I would have a problem or have something at work where I would, think about it all night, I would actually see what the outcome of it would be before it actually happened. It's I don't know if that's normal or if everybody does that or what, but I would always dream or think about what would happen before it happens, and the end result, what that would be.
Well, it sounds like you might have a balance or a blend there, which is actually good. Mm-hmm. You're sort of using logic or reasoning and intuition, or sometimes called lateral thinking, or the dreaming mind. So you could probably figure out parts of it, but it sounds like you also get a pretty good flash of, wow, this seems like the most likely outcome or the best solution to the problem. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I get like a vision or a thought of what the outcome's going to be, and it usually 99.9% of the time, that's exactly
what happened.
That's what happens. Yeah,
that's pretty good. So a balanced blend of reason and intuition. Good for you. You're ahead on the curve for most people. Some people are very logical or very objective. Other people are very intuitive and can tune in a lot, but can't always figure it out and make it real. So it sounds like you have both.
Yeah, when it happens, I'm not surprised like some people. I'm just like, well, that's what I first saw, That's what the outcome was going to be, so I wasn't shocked or upset about it. I just said, that's how it was meant to happen.
Yeah, I already saw it. And some people call it déjà vu, which is actually French. I've already seen this, déjà vu. So they tune in ahead of time. In your case, it's more casual. You're just like, yeah, I already saw it. It's going to happen. Yeah. That's kind of cute. Well, actually, physics starts to talk about some of these things. We mentioned physics before. There's one, or I guess a group of theorems related to probable futures and parallel worlds. You probably heard of this. That we can say by calculating the path of every atom and electron here that there are different futures out there. Because there's this kind of key principle in physics, the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, that says we can't exactly know the path or at the same time the direction and the momentum of any given atom or electron or particle, really. We can sort of know exactly where it is, or we can sort of know exactly how it's moving, but we can't say where it is at the time. So there's kind of minimum, almost like fudge factor or randomness. It's called Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. And that, grows and expands, and I guess as it reaches the macro level, points to that there's choices or options, or there's no set fixed future. There's probable futures that are more likely, and maybe that's how you tuned in your dreams. That's what I believe.
Mm-hmm. So I guess our future really isn't written in stone, is it?
No, I kind of think of a good analogy as, have you seen these dog leashes where it's sort of a telescoping leash? It can go out to 30 feet or you can zoom back in. Have you seen those?
Yeah.
You can kind of press a little button and let Fido roam quite a ways out or not. Yeah. Well, in this case, I think of it, that's kind of how our deeper wisdom, let's say our subconscious, our unconscious, our wiser self, works with us here in waking life. In other words, we have a somewhat set path of like we're heading to the supermarket, but we can roam a little bit to the side and we can make personal free will choices, and there's lots of probabilities within a certain timeline of, reasonably possible, and then some of them start becoming pretty unlikely and then extremely unlikely. But I think there are some set futures that are very likely, and we sort of navigate towards those, and then some are more optional, and it really kind of depends on our interests, our calling, choices of other people. It's a pretty complicated equation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess free will does play a big part in our life path, so to speak.
Yeah, and really the biggest freedom here, if we're starting to talk about what I call lucid living, is our freedom to choose our focus. Like, what do we put our attention on? Because that's what we start attracting as, in this case, it was probably subconscious or maybe emotional from your past. But you tune into the burning houses and the floods of Hurricane Sandy out of many events that could have happened, the next few months. But for you, that was pretty interesting. So it was kind of unconscious, let's say, background interests of, hey, I wonder what my buddies are up to and how could we help and save people, and also your other interest in the paranormal here, obviously. And those things combine to bring you about the insight ahead of time about a future that we were all going to experience. But it could have been many other things. So some free will and some, let's say, background habits, thinking and feeling habits.
Mm-hmm. You still there?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely interesting for sure.
I wonder if any of the listeners have had nightmares. Are people able to type in and interact with us, call in or type in for you?
Yeah, if anybody wants to call in with a question or comment for either myself or Craig, feel free to do so. The number is 724-602-2826. Or if you have any questions about any recent or past dreams that you've had and you're kind of wondering about it, don't know what it means. Maybe you've been dreaming about snakes or different other reptiles or animals that you would like, answers to. You can call Craig now at 724-602-2826. I'm hoping my cousin Aaron is listening because he kind of gave me the idea and inspired me to contact Craig and see if he can come on the show. So, Aaron, if you're listening, the line's open right now if you want to call in, if you have any questions.
Maybe we can, if he doesn't call in, we'll tune in retroactively and we'll answer his question during the show that he listens to on the podcast. How about that?
Exactly. He said he was going to listen, so he better.
Oh, that's good. Well, he might call in then. But yeah, if listeners are having sometimes recurring nightmares, can be really helpful for, the person who has them. We can offer some insights how to resolve those. And then also helpful for many listeners because some of these themes that people dream about, for example, you ever had the chase dream, Tim?
Mm-hmm.
Like being pursued, yeah. That shows up in about 82.5% of people's dreams, about 4 out of 5, let's say, depending a bit on the population. So something super common and cross-cultural, not just our culture, around the world. And there's some pretty clear answers, insights, and ways to solve such challenges that we can offer for listeners if you like.
You had mentioned about nightmares. Craig, could that be maybe connection with maybe a past life that someone once had? Is the reason for those nightmares?
Well, I think there's so many factors. To say a dream or a nightmare in this case is just one thing is kind of hard unless we have the dreamer there, and then we can tune in a little better to their story. I have actually tracked anecdotally, I haven't researched statistically, but that a lot of early, let's call them like super upsetting nightmares, but we're actually, if we measured physiologically, are probably closer to night terrors, usually for younger kids, but once in a while adults. So super upsetting experiences, usually before about the age of 4. That often comes as insights from a past life. In other words, still connected across time because we're at a very young age. There's some very interesting examples, but the upsetting, in this case, night terrors, may be about past life deaths or traumas. There's an interesting example. James Leninger, have you ever heard of him?
No, I haven't.
People can search on YouTube, James Leninger, and they'll see it was tracked by ABC, and they've written a book now and everything, but he had powerful dreams, many insights, I guess, of a 2, 3, 4-year-old little boy who couldn't have known any other way about how these Corsair planes fly and what was going on in the war, and I think it was Iwo Jima. And actually, they tracked it more and more, and the little boy dreamt that he was up in the air and got hit on the side of his engine on the left side. And it turns out that they finally, the parents were researching it, and they found his fighting buddy who was actually in the plane in the air beside him. There's no other person on Earth who could have known how he got hit exactly except that guy. And when they checked with him, they said, yes, he exactly got hit with anti-aircraft fire on the left side of the engine, exactly like the little boy said, it's basically impossible. He could have known that and many other details. So it starts to tune into, maybe some of the exciting experiences are tuning into past lives.
We have a caller from 724. Go ahead with your question or comment for Craig.
Hey, it's your cousin.
Hey, cousin, how are you doing?
I told you I was going to be listening.
I told you if you were here.
Hey, great.
How you doing?
Hey, pretty good. Yeah, like a question, an insight, comments?
Well, I'll join in here. I'm not scared, but I was on the server online here, and it's kind of acting up, so I decided to call in to continue listening. You brought up deja vu earlier. A lot of the time I will have an experience, out in life, and I'll swear that I've dreamt it before. Maybe years ago.
Yeah. And people seem to have differing accounts. So do you just get a general flash that you sort of know it from before, or do you actually see the words playing out exactly as they played, or what's the nature of the experience? Because there's variations on the theme for different people.
A lot of the time it'll be I'll walk in a room and I'll know the room before I've ever seen the room.
Okay. That might be called déjà visité, which is sort of French again for already visited. In other words, you've seen it before, and sometimes it's just dreamt before, but some people actually have very strong examples of that. It's called déjà vécu, which is sort of already lived, and they tune across time to, let's say, the exact room they were in maybe 100 years back, if it was like an old house or something. So there's interesting variations, but for you it sounds more like dreamt ahead of time. Have you ever tracked your dreams to see if you actually do have precog moments?
How do I do that?
Well, basically, anybody on the listeners can try this too. If you record your dreams, it's usually helpful, but you have to look back at about even just the last 3-4 weeks. You'll start to see some pretty unlikely hits of things you dream about that later came true. And if you have a couple months, I guarantee you there'll be a few in there. Basically, we're dreaming and picking our probable futures that we're going to experience live in life ahead of time in dreams every night, but most people don't track it or don't look for the connections. I bet you if you kept records, you'd see that connection.
And then a lot of the time I have dreams about super abilities.
All right, superpowers. Like what?
Being able to jump really high, really far.
Oh, nice. Okay, so the Hulk or something.
I've actually stepped too hard and jumped over houses.
Okay, so moving towards Superman. Almost flying, except that you come back to Earth. How about this is a friendly suggestion from your dream friend here, Craig. Next time, because you can set your intention ahead to shift dreams. It's interesting. You just have to choose now. How about next time you don't come back to Earth? You just kind of stay up there and fly. Would that be interesting?
Sure.
All right. So set your intention now, like 5 or 10 seconds. Just see yourself doing it and say, yeah, next time I'm going to fly. And you'd be surprised. Next time you don't have to come back. Your jump will last, 10, 20 minutes, however long your dream is.
So a lot of the time it could even play off a split thought we've had in our mind and never even realized it.
Yeah, it's possible. Maybe you saw something like the Avengers before sleep and Hulk jumped super far over a house or something. But quite likely you're tuning into the universal theme of flying. That's why I suggested maybe...
It was a frightening dream, though.
Oh, for you that was scary.
It wasn't something I wanted to happen.
Okay, how come? Like, just if you were interpreting now, what part was freaky? That you might get hurt, or what?
I'm not quite sure.
Just kind of a raw fear which didn't have too much logic behind it. Sometimes it's just
I could
a
feel
feeling.
my stomach turning upside down as I was falling.
Okay, that's good. So you actually have tuned in. This is my guess, so you should be the expert for your own dreams always. That's how I empower people. But you've tuned into a worldwide theme that there are actually two themes tied together, flying and falling. So it would be very interesting for you to shift to flying. So if you're just going logical about it for a second, what's the difference for now in a dream? What between flying or like the leap, the upward part of your leap, let's say, and then the downward part? What's the main difference? When you're leaping up, I bet you it feels kind of fun, right?
Direction, maybe?
Yeah, the direction, that's one thing. That's a little bit symbolic, but most likely it's the feeling. On the way up, it's kind of exciting, and then on the way down, it's freaky and like vertigo and all that, right?
Right.
So the way up could be sort of the flying part and the release from gravity. It's not just a word play here. It's actually the symbolism of feeling lighter, freer, more perspective, etc. And then if you were conscious, you don't actually need to go on the downward part, or you'd have to choose this and kind of practice it a few times in your body before sleep. But you could enjoy the falling part. You've heard of Jennifer Love Hewitt, the ghost whisperer girl?
Right.
She had the falling nightmare and terror of falling and everything, but she's learned how to, as she says, land on bouncy clouds and then gently float down to the earth with a rich feeling. So it's learnable to upgrade to, I guess, freedom from fear in this case, which might be interesting for you.
I don't have the best control over the dreams.
Okay,
when I'm having the falling dream, I'll come out of the dream, and it'll actually seem like I slammed on my bed.
In other words, you jumped up off your bed in physical life. Probably not. Probably not.
Craig, could
but
that
the feeling like that, right?
Could that like be related to maybe an OBE?
It might be, for the listeners who don't know that, an out-of-body experiences. More often than not, Tim, that's just as he's falling asleep. If you kind of get that wham, surprise, jump start. For you, is this during the night or in the morning hours, or is it just when you're falling asleep?
The slam?
Sort of the slam onto the bed thing.
This is where the dream gets to where it scares me out of it. It scares me to the point of waking up.
As you're falling, about to hit bottom.
Yeah. I never hit bottom, ever.
Right. Like most people with falling dreams, unless they go conscious. So if you want, this is offering you a friendly challenge here, and hopefully an upgrade if you meet the challenge. It's asking you to face one of the biggest human fears of, getting lost out of control, as you said before, losing our sense of independence or will. And just practice a few times before sleep, imagining. Just run through your mind's eye of leaping up, feeling great, starting to fall, and then switch your response. At that point, it's just an emotional response. Instead of fear, you're just going to go, okay, it's a dream. My body's safe in bed. Let's see how falling feels. And, worst case scenario, let's go fly into the earth and see what happens. I've actually flown through the earth, and it's a blast. But you have to choose it emotionally before and practice a bit to sort of break through the forgetfulness barrier and then have it happen in the dream. So A little bit of rehearsal might pay off for you. Let us know. Send an email to the Dreams Foundation. I always love when people have successes. And probably you'll end your recurring following dream too. Once people usually get the lesson and don't, and are able to face the fear, they don't recur the same scenario, they don't seem to have that spooky nightmare anymore. In other words, they're ready for something new, which could be interesting. There might be more creative insights or other kinds of cool things available once you get through that challenge.
Now, I have an often nightmare that reoccurs, and it's as simple as losing my wife.
So dying?
What's that?
Losing your wife or life? Sorry, I didn't quite hear.
Wife.
Oh, wife. Okay, not your life.
So it's a relationship dream, but my relationship doesn't match the dream. But it's a constant thing I can't get out of my head.
Okay. And you're, I guess, happily connected and married, right?
Right.
So it sounds like a concern, because most upsetting dreams are either a concern or once in a while they're precog, but this doesn't sound precog if it's recurring. A concern for losing the rich love connection, and sometimes also it's a concern about a symbolic thing, maybe a project that you're very sort of in relationship with, that you're very closely tied to, might be at risk. So it might not be the actual physical wife. It might be something that you're very devoted to in work. Sometimes our relationships show up that way. But even just the nature of the relationship changing in waking life as we age and as things shift, the relationship stays strong, but the nature of it shifts. So maybe that's in there on another level too. Have you ever looked at what it might be connected with in terms of just feelings and symbolism?
Possibly my past and past relationships I've been in.
Like divorce previously?
No.
But breakups? Okay. Before the wife, bad breakups. Well, that's good. Congratulations on the upgrade to something steady. But it sounds like some of the fears of, really painful, I don't want to make too light of it, some really painful breakups are in there still. If you can, almost just like the falling to flying dream, because it's really sort of the same fear challenge, you might want to rehearse and move trust into a deeper place around that, so that you don't use up your dream bandwidth channel with kind of scary things that aren't likely to happen.
Great.
In other words, an emotional upgrade.
Yeah.
Hope that works for you, though.
Could that mean like a major change within, not within their relationship, but within their life direction or something like that? Maybe a move, or maybe a changing job or changing career, some kind of improvement that they're going to be doing together.
Yeah, well, it'll be something. The feeling is always like the link. I call it the Rosetta Stone that translates the language. So in this case, it's upsetting, I guess, right? Your dream is not so fun. So there'll be something kind of spooky, anxiety, upsetting, or basically just a fear of what could happen in his life. In this case, a job change could be it, but it would have to be the same level of fear as if he was going to lose his wife. More likely, from what he shared there, it's a little bit of hints here and there just from past painful breakups that I guess we're married and it seems safer, but something triggers you during the day and it lingers and plays out like the pain of the past. That, we all have a little bit of PTSD here. It's not like war or car crash or something really terrible, but it's emotional PTSD of things that haven't been fully healed. So it's kind of calling to you and saying, we have some healing here. Maybe that dream itself could offer an inspiration to have an opening discussion with your wife to a new level of connection, even sort of more trust, and then you can get free of that. So do you notice during the day that you have it, usually the day or two before you have the dream, you'll see something that kind of freaked you out in that regard? So I don't know if you can remember, but if you haven't, then next time try to track what happened the day before, and you'll see something probably brought that feeling for you.
Okay.
Hopefully you can upgrade it. Just practice a little before sleep of your perfect ending. What would be your best ending to that one? An example for all the listeners if they have a recurring dream. Doesn't have to be the same, but for you, what would be if you could choose any feeling and then the scenario around it, what would be your best dream ending of losing the wife?
Rather than?
Yeah, something, it's your video, it's your DVD. I call it the darn valuable dream that you can edit. What would you choose instead of the painful loss, breakup, I lost her, waking up upset, etc.? Something different?
Well, bliss. Or,
bliss, super connected.
Okay. Moving forward.
A child, great. And even just asking and answering that question and moving into that feeling while the old one is kind of present because you just told the dream, you'll help to shift the neural pathways and some of the emotional habit of, it doesn't have to go down that dark, painful loss of, I don't want to get too deep here unless you're open to it, but did you lose either your parents or did your parents divorce or anything like that earlier?
A painful breakup that involved actually a child of mine now.
Oh, okay. So, there you go.
I guess I built that connection with another female, with having a child, which is a pretty deep thing, if you ask me. But
you've sort of healed it by having another child. Yeah, hopefully. Okay. Well, it might be that the trauma never got updated. It's sort of like a computer program. We take choices in our life, and hopefully that did resolve some of that. But unless we actually program something different, some of the past software, the emotional feelings and things may still be trending through in moments when your anxiety kicks in.
Still got that baggage.
Yeah, right. And if you're having the falling dream, it's actually quite close in feeling to that. Sure, it looks like it's all going up and it's happy and everything, but it must, like everything in life, isn't it going to come crashing down? Aren't I going to get hurt again? Aren't I going to crash, hit? So it's almost the same theme there. If you upgrade one, you'll probably see the other shift too.
Right.
Craig,
anyways, I appreciate you sharing. That's some pretty intimate stuff. Thanks for your trust, bro.
Yeah.
Greg, how does physics play a part in dreams? How does it connect?
In this case, your cousin here, what's your name? I didn't even catch his name. He can realize that physics doesn't play the same role as it does in waking life. There are physics of dreams, but they're different principles than in life. So gravity is sort of a choice. It's an emotional choice in dreams. Although we have the habit in our mind mostly that if we see ourselves going up, don't we have to come down? But then you just have to choose a new habit in dreams. No, you don't have to come down. You can fly. Just last night I was flying around pretty actively in a lucid dream. So in this case, physics is different, but there are plenty of principles. Usually a strong, if you want to call it physics, is where we put our attention,
right.
Which is the same is true for waking life. What we focus on is what we attract more of. In this case, let's say at the top of his leap on the jumping dream, his attention is probably starting to go to the regular physics of, now I'm going down or something. And then the fear kicks in and then it goes out of control, spiral. I'm dying, I'm crashing. But at that moment, the physics would be just choose something different, switch it. Have more attention, really more intention ahead of time would help, or more presence falling asleep so that you could shift it. There's other... Go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt. So there's a lot of symbolism in dreams. Is that what you mean with that?
Yeah. And as you use the word symbolism, you're starting to go in the realm, the language really, of dreams. And that's sort of, if you put it in brackets, one of the physics or one of the principles that's repeatable. There's a lot of ways to connect dreams with waking life, sort of interpret them.
Mean things than what they really appear to be.
Yeah, one of the principles that you can use to understand dreams is the symbolic element. Things relate through aspects of the dreamer. Everything in the dream is some level of your deeper psyche. That's probably a pretty good general model, but there's others too. Sometimes we can tune into physical events in dreams, like your cousin, the host here, did tune into a physical event ahead of time, and there's lots of other principles that are outside of direct symbolism, but that's a pretty good general one. If people go to the website at dreams.ca, they'll see an article there called Organic Dream Integration, and it gives some of the main universal symbols that might be really helpful for understanding your dreams. Have a look at that.
Craig, a couple weeks ago, Aaron had told me that when he's driving, or if he's driving home from work, something would pop in his mind to go maybe a different route or take a different road or direction home. And after he's home, he finds out that maybe there was a fatal accident on the road that he would have driven on, possibly maybe even protecting him from being involved in that accident. He told me that he has those dreams quite often, and it's always the same end result of, the accident being there at that time. Is that
okay? So you tuned in ahead of time, basically using intuition for protection, something like that, Aaron?
Yeah, I don't know if I would call it dream, because it's not like
kind of like a precog.
It's not telling me not to go some way for a specific reason. It's more like it's just a gut feeling. Just go this way. It doesn't tell me why.
Yeah, a hunch, okay, intuition. Now that happens during the night or during the day?
The day.
Yeah, so it's probably connected with the waking version of the same channel that dreams come in on, and we call that intuition. So a hunch, a gut feeling. Sounds like you're pretty connected with that, so congratulations. By the way, we're pretty happy that you follow that, because otherwise you might be in the hospital or worse here. So congrats on some successful intuitive actions.
Right.
I've told Aaron since he was little to tune in and to listen to that inner voice. It'll protect him as he gets older, and I guess he took the advice.
And as we were talking symbolism a moment ago, I realized that was an actual waking moment of a physical accident with cars and everything.
Right.
But symbolically, that's how dreams can offer us insights. A lot of nightmares, especially when they're sort of one time, or even the recurring ones, they offer insights to change our route, to avoid an accident. In this case, it's speaking symbolically, though. Let's say it's talking about an accident of relationship breakup. Unless we change a certain way of thinking or acting, or unless we do something different, going out on Fridays with the boys drinking or anything like this, we may have more risk in our relationship. Or if we really let a lot of nightmares go for a while and they start becoming demonic or very, very charged, fear can sometimes end up as like a lost job, or even sickness or painful body diseases and things like that. So if we catch it at an early level, it becomes a warning, a little bit like the oil light on our car, something's wrong with the engine. But just an oil change now. But if you don't deal with it, if you don't catch the warning, could be very expensive engine work, or maybe worse, a crash or something. So if we catch the nightmares early, we deal with them subtly, and we change our waking actions and choices and habits. And if we don't, well, it comes to the printout level, which is our life. We get a more serious problem because we didn't listen ahead of time. So I'm glad you're listening there. I'm using your dream, your waking experience as a symbolism, but dreams sort of point us down safer routes in life too.
That's interesting you brought that up, Craig, because I was doing laundry earlier today, and I had moved my car down to where the building is that we do laundry, and I was done, and I come out to my car and went to start my car, and it wouldn't start. It was dead. And once I got it started, I took it down to a battery place, and he had tested it. He said it was borderline that I should replace it. So I did, and maybe that was kind of like a warning to...
Hopefully I'm not tuning into your car and like creating car trouble for you there, Tim. Sorry about that.
But I did get a new battery in my car. A little bit of preventative maintenance there. So.
In this case, you may have gotten dreams that even avoided you having to change the battery, but I don't know if that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's an interesting symbol, though. In your life, would you say that your energy's been draining and that you haven't been as careful about sort of keeping the energy flow good, like getting too tired or anything like that? Because that would be the symbolism there.
Yeah, I have, yeah. I mean,
so maybe you got to make sure your personal battery doesn't run down either.
Right. I'm just now, in a spot where, I can focus more on me and kind of leave the drama out, take it out the back door, so to speak, and leave it there. So.
Okay, time to get a new battery then. Congratulations, you're your own life mechanic. Now look what your cousin's symbolism has got for you.
Exactly.
We're making a joke about it, but that actually is part of the framework I call lucid living. Really, if you want, you can look at your life symbolically also. Most people don't, but if you start looking at your life symbolically, you can see a lot of connections that might be surprising and sometimes might be very helpful that you otherwise wouldn't have seen if you just kind of went by the nuts and bolts Newtonian physics model. So it's good to sort of have both ideas or apps or frameworks to use on our life, symbolic and literal.
Mm-hmm. little things like that could help in your future. They can symbolize, something that you need to change in your life.
Yeah, exactly. And, sometimes we call these things, we have a name for it, we call them a sign. Oh, wow, that's a pretty weird sign,
Right.
that I almost got an accident twice there. Maybe I won't go driving for the rest of the week, or maybe I won't use that road anymore, or whatever it is. So if we call them signs, that's fine. But let's say a symbolic event that's trying to give us a hint about something. It doesn't have to be negative, though. For example, I'm a super creative person with dreams, and I guess also I do a lot of creativity. It sort of shows in life that probably I'm a little bit more on the idea, the early energy level. Symbolically, my life shows me, since I like to do music and things like this, that my gifts will be more in the creative realm of thinking up new or research, rather than mass production and, sticking around to mow the lawn on some company for many, many years, other than the Dreams Foundation, which is all about dreams. So that's one of the foundational things. But we can interpret our life in a large way symbolically too.
Mm-hmm. Is there a connection between lucid dreaming and teleportation?
Well, let's see. If you can pop over in the room here, I'll tell you. No, just kidding. Have you had lucid dreams first? Maybe we better define what that is for some of the listeners who might not know.
Define lucid dreaming, yeah.
Have you had some of those?
What's that?
Lucid dreams?
I don't really know for sure if I have.
Okay. Well, I guess we can give the official definition. Then I'll give my little more expanded definition. So officially, as it's used, I guess, in textbooks and things, a lucid dream is a dream during which the dreamer, the person sleeping, knows that they're dreaming while the dream's happening, though, not just remembering it after. So that's sort of the official cutoff. But in my more expanded version, there's lots of variations of like awareness or level of presence. And also there's lots of variations in terms of what aspects of our waking life or our mind are present. In other words, we might be aware that it's a dream, but we might not recall anything from our waking life, like an experiment when we wanted to try. Like, for example, your cousin who may want to try flying next time he starts falling. So he might not remember to try the experiment. So memory might be there, or we might be able to totally be aware we're dreaming and remember our life, but we're not able to change the dream or shift things, in which case our will wouldn't be there, or lots of other variations. So it's not quite as on or off as yes, no. So lucid dreams are pretty exciting, though. Usually most people have pretty clear recall, and I like to say it's some fair amount of your waking mind joins you during the dream in real time. So you can actually have full-on experiences. Have you seen that movie Groundhog Day, Tim?
Yes.
With Bill Murray? So a little bit like Bill Murray in the Groundhog Day movie, you can have full-on experiences of amazing things. Flying could be one of them, but many other things, walking through walls, breathing underwater. These are some pretty fun ones, which are as believable as any waking experience during that time, because your waking mind is there with you. Afterwards, it's a pretty clear recalled experience. But if you think about it, the only difference between a recalled dream and a memory from waking life is the word itself, sometimes the vividness. But if it's a very vivid dream, it's just the difference in words. So we can have actual powerful experiences in dreams. So to get to your question.
Right. So basically, a lucid dream is a dream you remember in detail.
Well, that's more just a clear dream or a vivid dream. A lucid dream will be one during which there's a presence. Some of your waking mind joins you enough to say, wow, this is a dream right now. And then ideally, you can start to act consciously and choose things, shift the course of the dream a little bit. Or let's say you're just trying a Buddhist presence practice, an awareness practice. You don't want to necessarily change the dream. You could become far more aware in a deep, rich state, and then have people explain and report sometimes having more vivid perceptions, like let's say greener grass or more beautiful music than ever before in waking life in their entire past. So sometimes there's more vivid, but the definition is really becoming conscious and aware during the dream that it is a dream, and then doing something accordingly, ideally. So you say, is lucid dreaming linked with teleportation? Well, you can definitely project your mind Right now you could say, okay, I'm going to remember my cousin's house, I'm going to think about it, feel about it, remember how it looked, etc. A little bit of your mind, the moment you do that, will go over there. If you get pretty good at some of these things, well, you could probably actually start tuning into things in the room that you couldn't have known any other way. If you get very good, and this is a little more rare, but some people are able to, you might actually perceive a ghostly form or see you standing there, and then you say, well, that's impossible because I was on the radio. And then if it's in a lucid dream, yeah, you can tune in, and sometimes you can go and visit things at a distance, teleport, really. Tune into other people's homes or tune into distant places. Some people call it remote viewing. If you get very good, sometimes the person could actually sense you or see you or somehow pick up actions that you do. I actually train students in the teleclasses. If you want to have a lot of fun and learn about a lot of these things in an amazing environment, check out dreams.ca, the teleclass link. And there's a new one starting soon. One of the students decided he wanted to go to visit another student in a lucid dream next time he had one. But he didn't know anything about her house or anything where she lived or anything, just her name, really, because these people are online and they just see each other online. But he went lucid, and he said he went out the back door, and it was pretty snowy in the dream now. He decides to fly up above the clouds. He flies over to San Francisco, comes down. He said he sees an ancient Chinese man, or I guess an Asian man, he said, or a Japanese man, who gives him directions. And he says, hey, do you know where this person's house is? And the man actually answered him and pointed down a street. So he looked at the street sign, and he got the first four letters of what was actually the real street name, which he had no other way in waking life of knowing. So first four letters. In the dream, he continued down the street, came to the house. He saw the apartment number on the apartment, and it was the right number. So I guess of many apartments, let's say 1 in 30, he had the right number. And then he proceeded to describe the whole vestibule and then the whole front thing. He saw the ancient man, or the Asian man, in a picture there, and said, hey, that's the guy I met down the street. And he proceeded into this dreamer's bedroom and said, hey, and she was sleeping, etc. So he woke up and described all the dreams, sent it to me privately, not talking to the other person, and I got the other dreamer to send in, it was actually a woman, to send in her dream. And also answer some details about who this man might be, etc. Does she have a photo in her vestibule, and what's the name of her street? And check some of the facts, to see if the person was able to at least teleport their mind, tune in. And the facts were all exactly accurate. In fact, at that time, her father in Japan, the Asian man, was awake and thinking strongly about her. And she did have a picture of him in her vestibule, and the apartment number was right, and the street name was right, and etc., etc. So I guess it's able. We are able, and to some degree, at least in our mind and our perception. But verifiable things, and sometimes very beneficial things, we're able to teleport during lucid dreams once we practice a bit.
So
You like that story?
Yeah, that's neat. So I guess if you're really focused or concentrating on somebody and thinking about them, it's very possible that they could be doing the same thing to you.
Yeah, sure. And it's usually helpful when there's an emotional connection, because the people in the dream teleclasses, especially these two who've been there for 4 or 5 classes together, get very bonded emotionally. And that is one of the quote-unquote physics, let's say the principles of dreams. When we have a strong emotional connection with someone, it's much more likely to dream with or about them. Not exactly like waking life all the time, where we sort of see a scene from two exact physical perspectives, the exact same scene. Usually it's a little more like what I call mutual theming, in that we pick up an event. It's pretty unlikely we could be at the event, like a conference or let's say a musical concert or something. And then we see elements like colors or certain people that are there who would be pretty rare, unlikely to be there, and both people tune into the same things. But it's not always exactly like two visual viewpoints, although once in a while it is, much like waking, both people went to the same place and perceived the same thing from a different angle. So that happens, but that's a little more rare. Right. So yeah, it's quite possible. It usually takes a little practice, but you'd be surprised, actually. Have you checked with your wife, or maybe Erin could check too, that usually partners dream with or of each other and tune into things all the time, but they just often don't check.
Right. I have had this friend that I met 10 years ago, and her and I don't interact or contact each other, but I have this, you know, it almost feels like spiritual connection with her that I can't, you know, for some reason it's not becoming physical or we're not communicating for whatever reason, but I've always felt this spiritual and thought connection with her, but for whatever reason, you know, life isn't making that physical connection, so to speak.
Yeah, well, we certainly have, let's say, attractions or just resonances or whatever you want to call it, connection with somebody at another level. They don't always manifest the same physically.
Right.
Sometimes the sort of magically falling in love or feeling a strong friend sense, or sometimes really an upsetting or sort of uneasy sense around someone is tuning into a connection from either another life or at a different level, like dream level. Before, ahead of time, or sort of tuning in invisibly. And we can just watch those and sort of begin to trust them. Ideally, even if it's an unpleasant connection, we can bridge and at least be friendly, or at least connect a bit. We don't always have to work with them, though. Sometimes it could be a little bit of a warning intuition or a warning dream saying, this relationship or a business deal wouldn't really work out. Just trust your gut sense, you know.
Right. And I talked to another friend about it at one time, and he had told me that maybe, you know, it's not meant to have a physical, you know, contact in this life, but maybe the next life.
Yeah, well, you don't have to wait that long. You could have a full-blown relationship in dreams. I've seen people do it. In waking life, sometimes we've checked the data of, let's say, very romantic interlude dreams, and both people confirm on the same night they had a very similar experience, and it was very full-blown and enriching physically and everything. So you may not have to wait till next life if it's something you both like. But obviously, try to be around integrity with it. And it's not exactly cheating if you're with somebody else, but it might want to be covered by a trust discussion of some sort. Hey, do you mind if I dream with this dream gal or not?
Yeah.
I got you laughing here.
Yeah, sure. Well,
is this a good moment for sort of some dream-inspired music?
Yeah,
you
exactly.
Want to talk about dreams and creativity?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and play little commercial skits, like 3 or 2
okay.
of them.
Yeah, that's a good idea, too. Help support your show here.
Right. I'll play 2 commercials, and then, you definitely...
After the break, we'll come back and talk about dream-inspired creativity and things.
Sure.
Okay, sounds good.
You are listening to the Supernatural Realm right here on the Z-Talk Radio Network. We'll be right back with Craig right after this.
Station identification.
You're listening to Z-Talk Radio Network.
Operating frequency
on ztalkradio.com.
The competition has taken notice.
Oh my God.
Good luck keeping up with us.
You're listening to Z-Talk Radio Network.
If this station's not your cup of tea,
then
drink coffee! 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 Drink coffee!
100% news,
100%
information, 100% guarantee. Thought you might say that.
You're listening to Z-Talk Radio Network.
To learn it the hard way. Trained in science, I thought it was hearsay, but I tried it, man, was I surprised. When I looked for the answer to my problem, and I found the dreams I can solve them, I just couldn't believe no one told me this before. Putting ends to nightmare reruns, guarantee you'll have much more fun if you learn to awaken in your dreams. See, she told me wherever 'cause when I'm with you.
And that song came to me in a dream. The little, I guess, the hook or the chorus. Wherever I've been in my life, I never felt as good as when I'm with you. That came exactly as melody and words in a dream I woke one morning, which is kind of interesting. I'm pretty lucky to dream music once a week or sometimes more when I'm focusing on it. You ever had dreams with music or sound, Tim?
Yeah, I have. Haven't had that for sure. We got a caller call in here. Go ahead, caller.
Hey, I'm here.
Oh, awesome.
We got disconnected.
Yeah. Aaron, Craig had asked me, have you ever had like a lucid dream or been playing music and then you had a dream about something? Does that ever happen to you?
Explain a little better here in layman's terms.
Craig, could you explain it again for Aaron? He just come back.
Because I'm kind of not on subject. The website isn't in real time.
Okay.
I just realized it. I heard you guys talking about something you were talking about 20 minutes ago, and I was like, wait, I'm lost.
Right. Okay, I think we're back. Let me see if we can get Craig back on the air here, Aaron, and hopefully we'll get this. We'll continue this. Add him to the call here, and it says call failed. I'm not sure what's going on here.
I'll hang up and you try, and I'll call back.
Let me stay here with me. I'm gonna go ahead and play a song here and see what happened. You are listening to Supernatural Realm on the Z Talk Radio Network. We'll be right back, hopefully, with Craig right after this. Aaron, if you want, could you go ahead and see if this song is playing on the server or on the app?
Sure.
While you're on with me, and let me know. All right, we'll be right back right after this.
Okay.
The night's as clear as a big desert sky.
Are you back, Craig? Oh, we just lost Craig again. What the heck? Alright, let's see what's going on here. Alright, I'm going to go ahead back here and play the song again, and we'll see if we can get Craig back and see if we can get our caller back. Alright. Hey!
There we go.
There we are. I'll give Aaron a call here. And
sorry about that.
That's okay. I don't know if it was...
Yeah.
I think...
On the other call, and it wouldn't dial through here.
Hello?
We're back, Aaron. We're back online.
How are you doing?
So,
hello?
Hello, Aaron. Aaron, are you there?
How are you doing?
Good.
Hey there. You had a comment or a dream for us?
Okay. Was George Strait playing?
Yeah, we're back on now, I think, Aaron.
You might have to turn off your radio, your online radio there, if it's too distracting.
Yeah. Aaron, go ahead and tone that down a little bit, or turn it down a little bit there.
There we go.
Okay.
Okay. The website is clean back when you were talking about Hurricane Sandy before I called the first time.
Okay. Either way, everything's recorded, so I don't know when we lost contact there. I just noticed it just when Craig here was playing the music. So.
Yeah, just after the song, somehow I got on hold when the new caller came in.
Okay. Aaron, did you have a question for Craig?
I was calling back, and I know you had a question for me. I believe something about lucid dreams or.
Yeah, Craig, you were asking me that question just before we disconnected. What was that question again?
I had asked either you gents or any of the other listeners who want to write in or call in. Have you ever had dreams during which you experienced sound and music, lucid or not, but just a dream where you remember music waking up, or maybe you were actually playing music or singing even?
I don't recall myself experienced something like that. Aaron, what about you?
No, but my wife directed me to a question about possibly having a dream about her own life, but looking in the mirror and it being somebody else. Is that what you're saying, honey? Okay.
Yeah, interesting one. It might be a personal symbolism, and we have to really interpret each dreamer, and I'd rather talk to this person and get all the details of other dreams, life moments, but there's a little bit of universal symbolism that might connect for her that could be helpful. Sometimes looking in a mirror is tuning into other probable selves. In other words, tuning into somebody either currently or in the future or past existing that's strongly connected with her on sort of a spirit, soul, and visible level, more so than, let's say, average neighbor or anybody else. So tuning into...
She actually is here. Here's the phone.
Oh, here we go.
Hello?
Hi there. So you've had dreams of seeing yourself in a mirror, but it doesn't look like you?
Yeah, I'll have a dream, and, I'll be dreaming or whatever, and there's people that I know around me, and, I'm living in the dream, but I'm it's not me though. Okay. Does that make sense?
Well, it doesn't look like who you remember yourself as in normal waking life here. In the dream, you look different. So looking through the mirror, kind of like Alice looking through the looking glass, or tuning into maybe another life, another moment physically distant from where you are, but somehow tuning into something that feels in the dream pretty real, at least, right?
Yeah.
So, you might be tuning into what we call the inner version. Interesting that happened just as we had this little Skype trouble, because you might be tuning into what I call an inner version of Skype, where you tune into other people or tune into somebody else's life or a deeper part of your larger self's life. We have strong connection with other people on the planet, sometimes more than just our friends. Deeper aspects of our larger being, sort of like, I guess, different limbs or branches on a tree that are closely connected with us. And maybe you tuned in vicariously as one of them. You're sort of getting to surf and play them as an avatar, and you can tune in your dreams as if you were them. It's kind of fun.
That's interesting.
Well, I do have one other question.
Sure. Thanks for sharing. That's pretty interesting. Maybe some other listeners will share that too. I've had those where I actually tune into things I can verify later in waking life. You tune into a person's life vicariously through the mirror. What's your other question?
Oh, I have these occurring dreams every once in a while. I'll be sleeping and I'm talking to both of my grandfathers have passed away, and I have dreams where I'm talking to them and having conversations. I don't really remember the full conversation, but I know I'm talking to them, and I know that I've talked to just different family members that have passed away in my dreams.
Okay. You'd be surprised. Visitation dreams, if it is an actual connection with their deceased spirit, are very common. That's probably the most common reported dream overall, or at least waking experience. Sometimes it's in waking life, not just at night. You might be interested to know, and maybe for next time it happens, you can set an intention now to become a little more clear, or just record it in the morning while it's still fresh. Often when the deceased come, like if it's your grandpa's spirit who's visiting in a dream, it might be for a very important reason. In other words, he's offering you insight about your current life in practical way. So I would write down the details, because there might be something worth acting on or just changing a decision about later. Not always. Sometimes they'll just come to show you that they're alive and well, and the love exists beyond physical life. But quite often there's some practical insight and help. So I encourage you to check the details and maybe act on them.
Yeah, I definitely will.
Okay, and that's good because you offer an insight for many other people who have those dreams. When the deceased come, there's usually a little extra expense. Think of it like they're flying over from, I guess, another continent from across the life-death barrier. So there's a little extra expense in there, and it's worthwhile to really make sure that you get whatever they wanted to deliver in terms of insight or message.
Yeah, like I know my mom, both of my parents, they're... like my grandpas from both of my parents are the ones that have passed away. And I was really close with my dad's dad. My mom's dad, I didn't really know that well. He died when I was like maybe 2. But when he died, my mom had a dream that he had died. Like she had a dream and she was dreaming that, that he was talking to her and he was saying like, help your mom out and be there for her. And when she woke up, she got a phone call from my grandma who told her, like, my grandpa had just died, like, a few minutes ago. Right
when she was dreaming it.
Yeah. So, I always thought that was strange.
Yeah. Well, we're tuning in a little bit like Tim and I guess others have mentioned here before on this psi or psychic, or sometimes in physics it's called non-local consciousness. We're able to tune into events that we can't perceive physically. In this case, sounds like a pretty accurate visitation or a visit with your grandpa, or I guess your mom had to visit with your grandpa while he was just passing or crossing over. Some people have that in dreams. Some people sort of see them in the doorway or have a more of a waking experience. But something that's very real and very memorable too. In other words, she gains trust that, somehow, somewhere, his soul exists and continues alive and well beyond the physical realm that we know as life. And that's a nice trust, Basically, it's there's a happy ending after we die.
Yeah. No, I agree with what you said.
Yeah, well, thanks for sharing. It probably adds to my trust and maybe some of the listeners too. Kind of neat story about your mom. Maybe you can tune in when she graduates from Earth here. I call that dying. And you can get insight from her and help her out in the same way. Sounds like you're tuning into your grandpa already.
Yeah, well, my dad's dad, I was really close with him. He was like my best friend. He was more like my dad, really. I loved him. And like I said, I have dreams where he's talking to me a lot. And I have a dog, and I know there's been a few times, like, I've been just sitting on the couch, and he's, like, looking into, like, our bathroom, and he's just, like, growling, and I'm like, what? And he won't stop growling, and his hair's sticking up, and I walk in there, I'm like, buddy, there's nothing in here. And then he'll walk in with me into the living room, and then every now and then, he'll go, like, back in the bathroom, and he'll just, like, stare and growl. I'm always like, well, I don't know for sure if that's him, but I like to think that that's like him just popping in, saying hello.
Yeah, it may well be. It might not be a grandpa. Sometimes other consciousnesses or spirits come and visit. You might see if you had a dream that night or the day before, you can with your grandpa, and you can become a little more aware during the dream. We were talking about lucid dreaming before, knowing during the dream that you're dreaming. If you set your intention ahead, you can actually dialogue fairly consciously with your grandpa. Hey, did you visit in the bathroom yesterday when the dog was barking? And he'll probably tell you. So if you set your intention ahead, you could have more of an interactive dialogue. Would you like to do that? Like ask him stuff and everything?
Yeah, I really miss him. He was a big part of my life, and when he passed away, it really hit me hard. And we used to be able to talk about anything. Like he used to lecture me about like history and stuff, but I never thought it was a lecture. I always just thought it was.
You enjoyed it.
Yeah, like I always enjoyed it, and we would read like war books together. And he had like a double chair, like a recliner chair, and I used to sit up there with him. And when he passed away, I was sitting in my husband's mom's living room, and she has the exact same one. It's like a double chair. And I was sitting there. It had only been like a couple of days since he passed away. And my husband was making something in the kitchen, and I got this really weird feeling, and then, like, I smelled him, like, his scent, I could smell it, and it, like, really shocked me. I was just like, I smell my grandpa.
That's beautiful. Well, it sounds like the love is alive and well, and you said past tense here, as if it already finished, that, we used to talk and have all these great discussions, but hey, you just told me that you're still having great discussions from time to time at night in your dreams, so I'm not sure it's over yet, just changed state a little bit.
Yeah, I don't remember them. I know that I'm talking to him, and he's asked different things, but I can't really remember, like, my reply or a lot of his questions.
It's not so
but
clear.
Like, I can see him talking to me, and it's just like I when I wake up, I'm like sad, but like I'm happy because it's like I feel like I was just talking to him, you know, and I feel like I get to see him again. But I like never want to wake up. Like when I have those dreams, if I get woken up from like my husband or my dog barks or something, I get so mad because I'm like,
I was with Grandpa. Don't interrupt. Yeah, well, you can practice and increase that skill. And if you like, check out the Dreams Foundation website, dreams.ca, www.dreams.ca. You'll see some tips on there for lucid dreaming, how to become conscious or, let's say, more aware during your dreams. And if you do, you can remember the dreams better with your grandpa, and then you can start to interact with like things you want to ask him, or you can go visit places you want together, or you can try things that you might have a little more trust and proof that he does exist. He might give you insights for your life that you can check out later. So I'm sure it's possible, if not already happening, but you just have to increase your lucidity a little bit. So check that out. Thanks, by the way. How about you, Tim? Any experiences like that? Any deceased visits or connections of that nature?
No, I haven't had any relatives visiting me, but my mom had told me recently where she was laying on a bed. Not sure if she was in a dream state or she was asleep or what exactly the conditions were. But she had told me that her brother, my uncle, had appeared to her at the foot of her bed and said that, I'm just, stopping by to check up on you to see how you are. I can't stay. And then he just kind of disappeared.
And that was just when he was passing?
That was, he passed away in 1978, I believe. And she had this dream or this vision about him recently.
Oh, okay. Well, now it sounds like a little bit like Aaron's wife's dreams there, too. Tuning into the spirit of, he's coming in to check. And usually it's our deceased friends, or more likely our relatives, that come and almost act like, some people call them guides, our angels, inner helpers. Even if you have the framework of pretty scientific world that, their spirits are kind of a bit of a woo-woo way to talk about it, you can just say that the love and the connection that you had with the person is alive and well. The feelings are all there and very real. But I must admit that there's so many actual examples of people who've gotten insights from that character or from that spirit, their deceased relative, and then tried them out in physical life or checked things that they were told them that are very small probability. And sometimes the deceased come to people who dream clearly and tell them to go check with other family members. For example, I've dreamt for one of our neighbors because she had a lot of grief when her husband passed. But I tuned in with dreams, and he came and told me to tell her to check this very specific thing. I forget exactly what it was now. But I mentioned it to, I wasn't even too much in touch with her. I mentioned it to my parents, who was in touch with them still. And she checked it, and the woman freaked out. The neighbor freaked out because nobody else, she said, except her and her husband knew that one little thing, and it was a very rare thing. And then she took that as kind of confirmation that it was an actual contact, and he was giving her a sign that he's alive and well and things are going. So sometimes if we're a little more connected, we can sort of be the Skype connector, or we can be the middleman, so to speak, and offer the insights to others, which is pretty nice service. It's a way to bring people trust and joy. So if you want to, it's a job available for anybody. You can tune in and help connect people with those loved ones who may not be physically present.
That's My mom said that was very typical of Uncle Henry to like visit us physically and say he couldn't stay long. He had other place to go, and she said he did that a lot in life. So.
Places to go, spirits to meet, but I'm just checking up on you. Hey, why not? Uncle Henry dropped by, his spirit, for a little visit. Sure.
Yep.
I mean, it's hard in this case to prove anything too empirically, but if she senses that it's true and she feels the love, I think that's what's important, right?
Yeah, she was very close to him, I know, in life. So
nice.
He makes occasional visits there once in a while to see how she's doing.
Yeah. Well, we often have, in one of the teleclasses I have a more advanced class because I often get repeat students, is the 4 people in that class were very strongly connected with, actually one of them, the person was living, but 3 of them had a close deceased friend or relative who had a very specific form of cancer in the left knee, and I guess in a couple of cases sort of was having to have surgery on the leg. And then the people, 3 of them died. One of them in waking life was the woman's brother, who's still alive, and he had his leg removed. But she did help transfer bone cartilage of her own to help keep the rest of his, I guess, immune system healthy, etc. So interesting, like a pretty small, rare cancer in the left knee for 4 people connecting with deceased. And in that dream session of about 10 weeks, which is how long each class session runs, the spirits of, or let's say the subconscious character anyways, of those people came and visited and offered insight and help for all the dreamers, how to get lucid and how to help each other. And actually one suggestion for how to treat cancer in the future if anybody wanted to act on it, which was pretty surprising. None of us were doctors, but one of the people worked in the hospitals, and his nephew might be suggesting a way that could be how to bring people more peace around their cancer treatment, let's say.
That's interesting.
Yeah, pretty interesting stuff.
It is.
Stuff you wouldn't guess at, but the surprise factor is kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then the trust you get about that on some form or another life goes on is actually very enriching.
Wow. Our cousin, Aaron and Lisa's cousin, he had told me about a year or so ago where he got this phone call from I believe it was his grandmother, and he was talking to her on the phone. Well, he thought he was talking to her on the phone, and he found out like an hour later that the time that he got the phone call, she had passed away.
Yeah, nice. Well, there's so many variations between what we call a physical experience and then in this case I'll even put it in like brackets or in quotes, a dream. So maybe a skeptic might say, well, he couldn't have been talking to her. She was on the deathbed or she had just died. But his experience will be, no, he was definitely talking to her. He may remember it as what his interpretation, or I guess his words would call a memory. Yeah, no, I definitely spoke to her on the phone.
Right.
What gets interesting, my first question, if I was going to kind of research it sort of pragmatically, I would say, was there anybody else present when you had the phone call that in waking life? And if there wasn't, then it might have sort of been a halfway experience between realms of waking and, I guess, dreaming, or the other side, in that it was a full physical, vivid experience for him. However, it may not have been a fully physical experience in the mass consensus world that we call life, in that, the grandmother's body elsewhere was actually, prone and quiet. But it doesn't really matter. The main thing is it's real. He got the trust. He felt the connection. And later he gets a little trust that she continues on because it happened at the exact moment she was already dead. It's a little unlikely, right? She's probably not going to call just before her death.
He said there's a lot of static in the phone connection.
Interesting. Well, for a lot of us who don't have great dream recall, there's a lot of static also, but that's sort of symbolically speaking. So maybe it was a symbolic thing of now she's across continents. There's a little more noise on the line.
Yeah, she's in between realms. That's what's causing a static, right?
She's beyond the Great Divide, so you might hear a little bit of noise. We apologize for any technical problems.
Kind of like the show tonight, huh?
Oh yeah, well we got some psychic probables, Skype probabilities dancing in or out with the connections there. I like that it came just after the music too, because I believe when you sort of bring something, an idea in its first form, let's say a thought, a creative insight from another level, it could be solving a problem. In this case, it was a music. When you bring it from the deeper realm into waking life, you sort of bring this portal of sorts. You bring a strong energy. For example, the most re-recorded song, or pop song anyway, in the history of music came directly from a dream, actually from two dreams. Do you know it?
No.
The original lyrics were, "Scrambled eggs, oh my baby, how I love your legs." And I'm singing off key a little bit on purpose here, so that you can not be hinted. But a gent awoke with that melody and those lyrics, and he thought it was kind of funny. He picked out the chords on the piano because he was a musician, and he said, interesting, kind of a catchy little line there. And he played it for his friends, and in this case also his manager. And his friend said, "You know what, super catchy tune, but you're going to have to change the lyrics eventually. It's funny, but it's not really a great hit. Scrambled eggs, oh my baby, how I love your legs." So after he decided that he owned it, because he wasn't sure it was his, he thought he just copied it, and he checked with Ringo and John and George. Paul wrote, "Yesterday, all my troubles seem so far away," which was indeed that song. And he dreamt the title too. Well, he owned it. So you could say two dreams across the divide of subconscious into waking life brought something that I think stayed 9 weeks or something like that at number one, and inspired and entertained many, many people. Another one too by the Beatles, just out of interest. Do you know Paul's mother's name? Paul McCartney, Sir Paul?
No, I don't.
You might know it, but you just didn't make the connection. It's
Right.
Mary.
Oh, yeah.
I wake up to the sound of music, Mother Mary next to me. And many people think the Virgin Mary, right?
Right.
Well, that's probably true symbolically from the songwriting way that he meant it, but he actually had a powerful dream where his mother, whose name was Mary, came, and in the time when the Beatles were undergoing lots of strife, she said, Paul, let it be, let the struggles, don't get too engaged in all the fighting and stuff. And so a personal message that became a powerful truth and message for many of us in the world here. Just relax and let it be in times of trouble, and there will be an answer eventually.
I wish my sister would take note of that.
Oh, is she a Beatles fan?
No, she has a lot of struggles.
You wish she'd let it be.
Yeah. I wish she'd let a lot of things be.
She's still on the line with us. Hey there. Watch out. She's the fancy psychic dreamer. She's going to tune in through her mirror and come and pinch you in your dreams tonight. You better watch out.
I knew Lisa was there. But
he's allowed to joke about it. If he was saying it in private behind your back, that wouldn't be so good. But I guess if you're there, that's okay.
I did say my sister, not my cousin, so I'm safe.
But let's just say, is there any question or problem? Because imagine this. This is a simple thought that if people are interested, they can visit CraigWebb.ca, CraigWebb, that's my name with two B's there, .ca online, and you can sign up for the daily quotes. There's little inspiring, very short quotes that you can receive every day. And one of them is a thought that kind of came through after a few years of working with dreams. That, really the answer to every problem, every question, or anything we'd like to create or attract or do or experience, the hint, the seed, at least, the idea form, is available in a dream any night at our asking, really, our intuition, right? Mm-hmm. So it's available, and it's only one thought away. Every problem solution is only one dream or one thought away. But most of us never think to ask or to really petition the unconscious or to fall asleep thinking about it or dream on it. So if you could solve any question in your life, or if you could have a creative insight, or if there's any skill you could practice, and you could do it tonight, what would it be? Either Tim or your sister there, if you could answer anything, do you have any question or idea what you'd like it to be?
I don't know, Lisa or Aaron, do you have anything?
Let me think about it first.
By the way, it could be something as simple as, I'd like to talk to my grandpa in a more interactive way. That could be a simple one, It's something, as long as it's something you really want, it's much more likely to happen. I'd like to get the lottery numbers for the winning lotto, well, I'm not really sure if that would be positive or negative.
I wouldn't want anything not like the lottery or anything. I guess it would be cool if, in a dream, I could just, I don't know, maybe just see, 5 times, or not 5 times, 5 years from now, what my life would be like. That'd be kind of cool if, your dreams could show you, I guess, the future.
Yeah. Well, that's quite possible. I've had that happen a few times. My bet is next time you have your mirror dream, if you set your intention ahead, in other words, in waking life here, before sleep, maybe even tonight, you just say, 1 minute, you kind of sit there, you imagine seeing the mirror, just sort of run through it in your mind's eye and say, okay, mirror, mirror on the wall, kind of from the story here. Please show me my life 5 year hence. Any insights or problems to avoid would be great. And just kind of set it as in a little envelope or send it off in a little balloon. Might be a nice image that you'd like to dream about it tonight or sometime soon. You'd be surprised. You may well have it tonight. The main thing is that we just never thought about it or asked before, but asking is pretty powerful once you get clear.
Well, that's funny that you said, as the envelope and, write it down and everything, because a lot of times I'm a writer, and I know, I'll actually, sit down and just write what I'm thinking or what I want things to be like in the future. And actually, I find it really therapeutic and good for really anyone that's going through any loss. When I just feel really upset over my grandpa, or my life is just in I don't know,
times
it's going
of trouble.
Trouble or chaotic.
When you find yourself in times of trouble.
I'll sit down and I'll write a letter. I'll sit there and I'll write a letter to my grandpa, and I'll write it out to him, and I'll just tell him everything that's going on in my life, or if there's someone that I'm having a problem with in my life, I'll sit down and I'll write them a letter and explain why, I'm upset or angry, and I don't send it, and I don't I just usually just keep it in a notebook, or sometimes I just burn it because I feel if I burn it, I just feel like it reaches faster, I guess. It's, I don't know.
Sure. That's a pretty common thing. A lot of people call it their diary, right? They kind of write a letter or just write it in their little book. In this case, instead of just solving a problem, it sounds like you could also get a vision for your life. Why not? Hey, Grandpa, it seems like from outside life here, from the perspective across the Great Divide, beyond the veil, people are able to tune into the future much more easily. So from that vantage point, any insights, or can you show me a picture of my life? You could write a little letter, stick it under your pillow before bed, and see what happens. You might be quite surprised, and happily surprised too.
Yeah, I'll have to try that.
All right, good. Send a report to Tim so you can post it on the website, or you can send it into dreams.ca, and if it's a good one, we'll share it with people to help inspire them. Because really a lot of time the biggest thing in life is that we just don't really get clear what we want. Right. And that can be a limiter, there's so many distractions in our life.
Yeah. No, but I'll definitely, if I get anything out of it, if I find anything out, I'll definitely have to tell Tim and put it on the website.
Okay, great. And even just for yourself, you hopefully have a little richer life, or maybe avoid some problems down the road that you get an insight about ahead of time.
Yeah, I know. I'm always reading up on my horoscope.
Oh, you're a horoscope person, right?
Yes, I am.
Well, there's lots of ways to track insights. Horoscope and astrology can be one. Dreams can be another. And sometimes just logical figuring and planning can be another. So they all work well together.
Yeah, actually, it's kind of funny. This is the best horoscope I ever had in my life. And that's why I really, I check into it every day. About a year and 6 months before I met my husband, I was on my horoscope, and it said within the year I was going to be married, and I was going to be happy. And I was like, yeah, right. Like, okay, this horoscope is a whole bunch of crap. Well, no lie, a year and 6 months later, I was married to my husband.
And happy. Don't forget to add that.
Yes, and very happy. I'm very happy with him. But I was like, wow, that horoscope is right on the dot.
Surprising, huh? Okay, well, that's
yeah,
good.
so I'm a big believer in horoscopes.
Let me see if I can guess here. It was either at age 21 or 28 for you.
What? When I got married?
Yeah.
Actually, how old was I? I had just turned 19 when I got married.
Oh, okay. So that's a little early. Often those things happen right at the 7-year marks, around 21 or 28. So in this case, you're a little ahead of the curve. That's a good sign. Good for you. You're moving along quickly on some of your lessons. But you might notice that you see big changes or transformations at those years, especially around 28. And that's connected with astrology. It's called Saturn return. You can look that up.
Called Saturn return?
Yeah, and just ask anybody. For example, Tim, anything big happen around age 28? Usually like a move, a marriage, new job, death of someone very close, or all of the above, or a spiritual awakening or something like that?
Death of a loved one.
Yeah, there you go. So, and a very close loved one?
Mm-hmm. Grandparents, yes.
Grandparents, okay. And did that start you on a new personal or spiritual path, that kind of questioning too?
Both, yes.
Yeah,
it
so
made me
probably more important would be the spiritual new direction, but yeah, the event itself will be right around that. And ask anybody, you'll see big things right around that year. Something big and new. It's big cycles in everybody's lives. Usually there's smaller ones every 7 years. You ever heard of the 7-year itch in relationships?
Right. I have, yes.
After 7 years, we get a little test, and after 28 years in a relationship, we'll get a bigger test. So, hey, Lisa, you've been with your husband how long now?
This May this May 10th, we'll celebrate our 1-year wedding anniversary. And
hey, congrats. That's great.
Thank you. And May 5th is our 2 years as a couple.
Oh, okay. So you're somewhere early on in your curve. You got about 5 years before you need to start worrying. No, just kidding. But just watch out on the 7 years, because usually some challenges come. And if both people meet the challenges and sort of get the lessons, then you move on to a richer, deeper relationship. If one partner or neither really get it, sometimes there's a painful breakup. So it's good to know those things, because you can focus a little more and remove some of the other, I guess, distractions from your life, so that you can really attend to the important things when that timing comes.
Well, luckily for him and I, we're really in tune with each other. I mean, he's my best friend, and I'm his. And, I mean, it's just him and I, really.
Sounds like you're good friends with Tim there, too. He's just telling you to let it be.
I'm sorry, what?
Sounds like you're really tuned in with Tim, who wants you to let it be sometimes.
Well, Tim's pretty awesome.
Oh, okay, good.
Thanks.
You were talking about Lisa, Tim, let it be, or a different sister?
My actual sister, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Lisa's my
Different
cousin.
sister.
Yeah.
Okay, not sister-in-law. Okay, well, hopefully she's listening.
I don't think she ever listens to my show anyway, so I'm safe.
All right. Well, it's a good wish. As long as it's in alignment with going better for everybody, maybe she'll let it be a little more.
Yeah. But to answer your question, yeah, I'm very close with Lisa and Aaron. They're two of my closest relatives.
That's beautiful. And they sound like they really found a great richness in each other, real magic connection there.
Yeah, definitely.
We loved it.
You guys are like all in some rich connection here. That's why you're all dreaming together on the show.
Right. Greg,
should we wrap up with a little bit of music after giving the website and stuff, Tim?
Sure. One question, though, before we do that. Do you feel a higher spirituality with the three of us than the average person out there?
Well, I'm not exactly a psychic, maybe sometimes a little bit of a sidekick, but I don't think I'll comment like a medium, but I'll say that you folks have a really nice ease, and that they listen to your show, and that she likes talking and sharing and has a lot of trust with you. There's more than many family members.
Right.
That's pretty positive.
Yeah.
And those emotional connections will easily extend into dreams and into psychic things. So
right.
I'm more interpretive from the waking life, but I can't quite tell yet if she'll be able to come visit your bedroom tonight and freak you out.
The connection, I guess, was the answer that I was looking for. So you answered that one. So
nice. Probably you don't have to ask me for that one. But I sense it, and give you the principle that you'd have more likelihood if you wanted to try to experiment. It's like, hey, let's try to meet in a dream tonight, or put a picture on your table, and I'll try to tune into it in my dream. And you'd have more likelihood because you're emotionally connected, like you guys are.
Awesome, Craig. Do you have any books out there, website, events, things like that you know?
Yeah. Well, I'm just wrapping up a book that people may be interested, all about dreams and creativity. So definitely watch for that at the Dreams Foundation site, dreams.ca, or more likely if you sign up on the mailing list there, or at Craig Webb with 2 B's, .ca, CraigWebb.ca. You can tune in about that, and it gives lots of insights about some famous creative dreams, and also will teach people how to really tune in and get some gems that can go big, like Paul McCartney's hits yesterday and Let It Be that we talked about, and many others too, like Google that came from a dream. Most people don't know the major search engine and company originated from a dream, and many other big world things. So check that out. That's coming soon for people who want to learn and train a little bit more and go deeper and also have a ton of fun. It would be great, and I'd love to have you join the teleclasses. Maybe you, Tim, Lisa, or Aaron. If you guys are inspired, I'll try to make it work for you. And that you can find out either at dreams.ca or craigwebb.ca. And you could even just email teleclass at dreams.ca, teleclass, teleclass at dreams.ca, and I'll send you some info, and you can hop aboard these amazing adventures where people have all kinds of psychic connections, get creative solutions, and most importantly, really move their life forward in meaningful ways. Since one of the dreamers here, after sort of having a painful divorce and not wanting to ever have a partner again, now just got married a few weeks ago. It's really beautiful, and sort of dreamed her dream life into being. So that's the fulfilling kind of stuff that we aim for every class.
That's awesome.
So hopefully we can offer that to anybody who's a little inspired. But there's lots of articles. If you're not sure you want to go that deep, you can check out at dreams.ca, how to recall dreams, how to go lucid, how to understand your dreams better, how to solve nightmares, that kind of thing. It's a nonprofit, so check them out and enjoy, pass them on, and hopefully they help you. And my personal passion here is right now some artistry, getting the music and dreams and bringing it out. So that's why I've been blessed to share some little sound bites online with you here tonight.
That's awesome. I enjoyed that. It was a nice opener for our discussion this evening with you. I appreciate that.
Should I play my fun little the start of my fun little environmental satire song as we wrap up tonight?
Sure.
Okay, this is a funny one about, you'll find the chorus in a second. The 2 women came to me in a dream and said, you better bring that song out there. And I said, which one? Because I have a lot of songs. And they didn't tell me before I woke up. But then when I put their 2 names together, it was the title of the song. So then I knew which song it was. And here it is.
Craig, it's been a pleasure talking to you and having you on you coming on the show this evening.
Yeah, I actually feel a really good, rich connection with you too, Tim. And Lisa and Aaron, thanks, and all the listeners. Hopefully we offered you something at least fun and maybe practical and helpful for you. And if you're inspired, drop us an email, and we'll get you aboard for something more interesting soon. Dreams.ca or craigwebb.ca. And here's some music to wrap up. Polymers.
Talking about polymers. That's right. Polymers are your friends, yeah, polymers. Long chemical chains that never end. Oh, why use china and silverware when you could be enjoying Tupperware. A plastic plate, spoons, forks, and knives will surely improve the quality of our lives. 'Cause they're made from polymers. And for cups you can use styrofoam, yeah, polymers. They add a special flavor, all of their own. Yum!
On iTunes for anybody who liked it.
That was awesome.
So thanks again for having me on, Tim. It's been really great.
Thank you. We'll have to have you back on again sometime, Craig. An awesome time
I'd love
talking.
to. Like
All
a positive recurring dream instead of a bad one, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, sounds good. I'm in.
All right, my friend. Thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it. I had a great time.
Good evening, happy equinox, and a great weekend to all the listeners, too.
Thank you. Aaron and Lisa, thanks for calling in the show and participating as well. I really enjoyed it. Good night, everybody.
If this station's not your cup of tea,
then drink coffee! 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 Drink coffee!
100% news, 100% information, 100% guaranteed. Thought you might say that.
You're listening to Z-Talk Radio Network.
Well, I'll be hornswoggled.
You're listening to Z-Talk Radio Network.
You don't say. Oh, what? You think you went off to college or something?
On ZTalkRadio.com.
That's the most amazing thing since Grandma survived the outhouse incident.
Thanks for tuning in to the Supernatural Realm tonight, right here on the Z-Talk Radio Network. Next week, Bruce Benata joins me on a show about his near-death experience. He's been featured on CBN and the 700 Club. That's Bruce Benata next week, right here on the Supernatural Realm Radio Show. Good night, everybody. Have a great, blessed weekend.
This has been a production of the Z-Talk Radio Network.